So, I've wanted to make this video for a couple weeks now, and I don't know why I decided to make it tonight. But today's episode, or tonight's video, because it's 2:43 in the morning and I'm sitting in my field, is about... I don't like politics. I don't like getting into it because, to be honest, 90% of politicians are in it to line their pockets. They're not in it for you. They're not... We, the people, elected them because they are supposed to represent us and they are supposed to have the best interest for us. But they don't. But I guess this is kind of a political, to an extent, video. So, as everybody knows right now, the cost of living is sky the fuck high. Like, it's got Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg beats. That's how high it is. That's my personal opinion. I mean, gas is definitely higher than Snoop Dogg. Same with diesel. It shouldn't be this high. Like, I just got gas an hour ago, and I got $20, and it only got me 4 gallons. I wasn't even on a half tank. I was a bar above half tank, and it didn't fill me up at all. What's really sad is, just over a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I could fill up this whole car basically for $30. And that's where we're going with this. So, I'm sitting up here in my field because I don't want to be home. Like, I don't really want to be in the house. I've been sitting in the house and just been, but, so, like I said, I'm not into politics, but when Trump was president, I was ready to buy a new truck, a 3500 diesel or something. I was ready to fence in my property, start buying goats, start building the farming operation that I want to build. Like, the diesels I was looking at was like about 50,000, and I mean that's normal for diesel, stuff like that. That's actually really cheap for diesel nowadays. But now I looked, I think it was back in March or February, I looked at a diesel at a local dealership, brand new, maybe not brand new. It was either a 2021 or 2022. Can't remember. $70,000. I mean, granted, that's what new vehicles go for nowadays. I don't see the point. They're 90% plastic, and literally, you're paying $80,000 for a vehicle that literally, I promise you, only costs $25,000 to make. That's the material cost of it. Why are they so high? My truck down there, 88 F-150, brand new in 1988, and it's an XL model, which is the top of the line for 1988. Extended cab, 2-wheel drive, V8, has air conditioning, okay? It was the top of the line for its year. $17,000 brand new. Top of the line for its year. $17,000. That same equivalency today, a 2020 F-150, top of the line, you're looking at $40,000 to $50,000. Why? I don't get it. My truck is made out of metal. I got a deer hit me one night, and I took a basketball and popped the fucking dent out of my door with a basketball. You can't do that nowadays. I hit a deer with this 2014 Hyundai, and I didn't even hit it that hard. Like, to be honest, it didn't break any of the plastic or anything, but it did bend the plastic so much, it allowed the deer to hit the radiator, and it bent the radiator. That deer cost $6,000 worth of damage to this car. Not to mention, this car in 2019, it missed one software update that controls the crankshaft sensor. That one software update caused the whole motor to blow up because the crankshaft, the bearings in the crankshaft blew apart in the motor. Good news is Hyundai admitted it was due to the software update, and they replaced the motor. But still, I don't have to worry about that with my truck. I don't have to worry about a computer, missing a software update for a piece of computer and it blowing up my whole truck. My Jeep Wrangler is a 01. I don't have to worry about that with it neither. I mean, granted, I can't drive it right now because anybody that knows Jeeps knows that they rust. They rot from the frame down. And that's what's wrong with it. Anyway, that's not what we're here about today. Okay? So, and then, but yeah. In this car here, I think this car was probably like probably close to 40,000 when it was new in 2014. If I had to guess, I would say like 31 or 32. I don't know. I don't know if the receipts and stuff would be in the owner's manual or not. But, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's the thing. Y'all want all this fancy. I mean, yes, the Bluetooth in this car is nice. It really is. It makes stuff so much easier. Not to mention, I'm a huge music person. Connecting my phone to the Bluetooth, listening to music sky the fuck high when I'm driving. It's nice. It's super nice. But y'all want all this fancy technology to where a car can literally drive itself. But yet, all it takes is one little thing and it destroys your whole car. Why? It shouldn't be like that. I kind of veered off subject, but anyway. A year and a half ago, I was planning on, I don't want a brand new truck, to be honest. I'd rather, if I could find a 1997 full 4-door long bed Ford F-350 and then drop a 24 valve Cummins in it, I'd be fucking mint. And put that in a manual, and I'd be going. But sadly, nobody values the old stuff nowadays. Anyway, but now I definitely can't afford to buy the truck and fence in my property like I want and go build up my goat herd like I want. I had all these goals and all these plans, and I just can't accomplish it because the cost of living's so high right now. To be honest, I have like 3 or 4 doctor's appointments this month, and with the price of gas, I honestly think I'm going to cancel them. I shouldn't cancel them. I need these appointments. But I can't afford to make that many trips to the doctor because my doctors are an hour and a half away. Because when you live in small rural West Virginia, the local hospitals are shit. But the sad thing is, and the funny thing is, the hospital that I drive an hour and a half to go to owns my local hospital. But yet, no improvements have been made to my local hospital. My local hospital, I describe it as being stuck in the 80s. Maybe the 70s. It's just yeah, it's stuck. But the hospital that owns it, making huge, like, technology advancements and stuff like that. So why can't my local, like, basically my local hospital is, okay, the hospital I drive an hour and a half to go to is the maiden flagship of the fleet. Like, it's the equivalency of the battleship. And my local hospital is just the schooner or the lifeboat on that battleship of the fleet. Like, that'd be the best way to describe it. But no, I mean, I know nobody watches these, but if somebody does watch these, or watches this one in particular, and you voted for Biden, I really hope you're happy with how things are going. I voted for Trump in 2016. I did not vote for Trump this time. I actually voted for Jo Jorgensen. And the funny thing is, when Trump ran in 2016, Hillary Clinton was running against him, and all these feminists jumped out of the woodwork and wanted her in president so bad, they was chomping at the bit. But yet, this last election, there was a woman running for president. Where was they? Where was all these feminists screaming, it's time to elect a woman and put her in president? There was a woman running for president this election. So why weren't you guys screaming for her? And, you know, some people say, like, the president doesn't have a say over the gas prices, blah, 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 blah. Well, he did shut down 3 major gas pipelines and stuff. Think about it this way. Okay? Okay. I only made it to my senior year of high school. I didn't go to college. I don't see a point in college, to be honest. I don't see going $80,000 in debt for an education. To be honest, the educations that we need nowadays are hands-on blue-collar work. That's what makes the world go round. Anyway, okay. The best way I could think about it is, say you have a water hose, like, say you have a water spigot. Say you have a diverter and it's got 3 separate nozzle. It has like one piece up here that connects into the spigot, but it splits into 3 different heads or something like that. Okay. Say those 3 different heads running into garden hoses, those are the supply chain for pipelines or the gas and stuff. Okay. And say eventually all 3 of those merge into one water hose. Okay. 3 water hoses merge into one. Say you strangle off, like, you should have a really good flow, right? No, okay, you know what? Back that up. I have a better example. Instead of those 3 water hoses going into one water hose, okay? Because it just dawned on me I had to clean out water troughs the other day. But say all 3 of those hoses are running into a water trough to fill it up, okay? 3 water hoses running at once. That fills up that water trough pretty fast, right? Okay. What happens if you take 2 of those away? 2 of those water hoses. It slows it down. It takes longer to fill, right? Okay. That's what happens when gas lines get shut down. You go from a really high flow of gas coming in to now you're restricted. Like, it started getting closed off. So, no, he doesn't personally set the gas prices, but him closing them pipelines down did have an effect on the prices. Because if you think about it, when Obama was president, he started shutting stuff down and we got to $6 in gas and stuff like that. Trump came in, he opened up about 3 pipelines. Did you notice how our gas dropped? Because when Trump first came in and stuff, it was about like $4 a gallon. No. It might have been like $3 a gallon, something like that. But by the end of his presidency, we was at like $2, $1.89, stuff like that. Biden comes in. He shuts down a couple gas lines. I just paid $4.79 a gallon. And I would say by next week it's going to be $5. You also got to keep in mind these diesel prices. Do you know how I almost said we farmers. I got a couple goats. I'm not nearly as big as a production as I want to be. And that's what started this video. Before Biden got in, I was going to start building my production to the size that I wanted. And now I can't afford to. Like, I had everything lined out. I was ready to move forward. I was ready to take those big steps into becoming a small farm. Can't do it now. But anyway, farmers. My ex, this was before we broke up. He told me last year when they fertilized hayfields and stuff like that, they paid $400 a ton for their fertilizer. Before we broke up, he was talking about they didn't plan on fertilizing the hayfields this year. And I said, well, how come? And he said, because the $400 a ton fertilizer that we used last year is $1,300 this year. That's a $900 increase. I almost said 1,000, but it's like 100 less. But still, that's a lot. That's a huge increase. Okay? So, for any of you that don't know about farming or growing crop, you need to fertilize corn. You need to fertilize your soybeans, your carrots, your potatoes, because those are your fertilizers, nutrients that is put into the ground that your produce needs. Reason why hay gets fertilized is that way it grows thicker. And that's what goats, it's what they eat, horses. That's nutrients that they need. Because during the winter, the ground freezes, snows on the ground, they can't get to it. They still need that nutrients during the winter. Anyway, okay? So fertilizer is important. But the number one important thing that farmers need is diesel. Because without diesel, they can't run the tractors to plow the field. They can't run the tractors to harvest their crops or their livestock. Okay? Without diesel, they can't move their produce from the field to whether it be a storage facility or the trucks that are automatically going to, most of the time, produce, it goes to a storage facility. It gets cleaned and stuff like that, too. But not just that, but how, number one, transportation here in the United States for produce and livestock, hogs and cattle, to go to butcher or to end up on your grocery store shelves is semi-drivers, truckers. They need diesel too. And to be honest, farmers were already having a hard time making any sort of income to feed their families. And this year, to be honest, whoever voted for Biden, you literally just said fuck you to the farmers. The people who help feed you, your family, keep food on your table, you literally gave them a huge middle finger. Because they was already having a hard time keeping in the red. Literally barely making any profit, to be honest. And now, between the price of fertilizer and diesel and the amount that they get paid for their crops, they're not going to make any profit. They're literally going to go into the blacks this year to produce food for you. People who really just don't give a shit about them. Who think that farmers are out to kill them. I can promise you, they're not out to kill you. They're not out to poison you. Why would they do that? They feed their families some of their produce too, or their product that they produce. Basically, what they're not willing to feed their family, they wouldn't feed to you. Because that's how they feed their family, and that's how they feed you, and that's the money that they use to keep their electric on and their water on. Like, I don't understand where this country went. I really don't. I don't understand what happened. And it's not just the cost of living and stuff like that. It's just, like, common sense isn't there anymore. Common respect, common decency. We think we're making such good strides forward. To be honest, we're not striving forward. We're reverting backwards. What do I mean by that? Yes, technology is nice. Technology is nice. This phone in my hand's nice. TV's nice. Wi-Fi, being able to Google whatever I need to, that's nice. But at the same time, we've made so many steps back. We have. We need to support mom and pop stores. To be honest, we need to go back to the 50s and the 60s. Mom and pop small stores. Friday nights going out to the malt shop for dates. The only thing that we do not need to bring back from the 50s and 60s and stuff is segregation. We don't need that. That's something that we should have never had to begin with anyway. What I'm talking about is the small town mentality of supporting small businesses, companies not being money focused, and companies treating their employees like family, not basically, companies nowadays treat their employees like stock. All they see them for is how much money they can bring into their company. That's the mentality we need to get rid of. I know I've just went way left with this video. I mean, it all kind of plays in together, but we need to bring back the small America mindset. Supporting your neighbors, helping your neighbors, supporting your small local businesses. To be honest, yes, Walmart is nice. Everything's convenient right there. To be honest, if prices in my local Piggly Wiggly were a little cheaper, I'd rather shop there. And I'd rather, on a Saturday, well, I already do it anyway, do all my running in one day. But I'd rather have to drive to like 4 different shops within a 1 mile radius to get what I need than continue to feed the corporate greed. No, I'm not some conspiracy theorist, or I mean, you can say I'm out there. I've always known that I've had some screws loose and shit like that. But to be honest, I figure this thinking comes from being raised by my grandparents. Like, because they was born during the Great Depression, and they raised me different. Here's a good example. My ex, you could tell my ex never really had to want for anything, like back in October we went out to eat, and I'm really bad about, I always, like, whatever I don't eat at the restaurant, I take home. I will eat it later. I don't waste food. I don't waste food. Now, me saying that, did I ever starve as a kid? Go hungry, have to skip meals? No. My grandparents always made sure, like we wasn't rich. We definitely wasn't middle class. Like, I know there was times my grandparents struggled, but there was always food on the table. I always had new clothes. Well, not new clothes. Like, if I needed clothes for school, it was done. If I needed new sports equipment for softball, like if I needed new bats or cleats, I had it. But I know, like, when I'd ask for money to, like, go out on a Saturday night, like, hang out with friends, my grandma would be like, I don't really have the money to give you for gas. So that's how I know, like, yeah, we was poor, we was broke, but we wasn't broke enough to where we had to miss meals. Okay. My ex, on the other hand, when we went out to dinner and stuff, he took his leftovers home. 3 days later, I found him in his car. Disappointed and furious is definitely what it was. Because if I would have known he wasn't going to eat it, I would have brought it home. I would have ate it. I would have gave it to my dad. I would have gave it to the dogs. I mean, that's what I ended up having to do with it anyway, was give it to the dogs. He always wanted name brand stuff. I've gotten to the point, like, when I was younger, like in high school and stuff, like, name brand stuff was important to me. Because, when you're young like that, like, if you don't have name brands, like, you try your hardest not to show that you're poor. But as I've gotten older, I don't give a shit. I cut corners. I'm a cheap ass. But he had to have name brand everything. And I can't tell you how much food, like, I went through the cabinets one day and how much food was opened and then just gone back, like chips open, gone stale. Food in the fridge that, like, pizza or something like that sat in there, and he never ate it, and it went bad. There's just there's different levels of living in this country. I mean, I'm glad that he had the opportunity to live a life like that. Because there's a lot of people out there that would love to have a life like that. So I'm glad that he's not one of the people that had to know what it was like to go to bed hungry. Or because here in West Virginia, there's a lot of people that know that feeling. A lot. And it's not just West Virginia. But I know here in West Virginia, the population that does go to bed hungry is a lot higher than it should be. Another thing that needs to change in this country is, I'm all about helping the little people. I get that. But sending $80 million or $1 billion, I don't remember what the radio said, to Ukraine to help fight this war, we don't have that money. We can't even feed our own citizens and stuff. And we're magically pulling $80 million out of our ass to send across. Like last year when they sent, what was it, 90 million for abroad for vitamin studies. I don't remember if it was 90 million, but it was it was money that was sent overseas for vitamin studies that should never have been sent. We need to stop sending money to other countries. We don't have the money to send. That would be like me, who's extremely broke, going out and buying a Jaguar. I can't afford a Jaguar. So why would I go buy it? Our government, we can't afford to send money to other countries. So why are we doing it? Why can't why can't England send some money? Why can't the United Nations, or not the United Nations, I'm sorry, NATO. Why can't NATO step in? NATO was born after World War II to help stop stuff like this. So what? Ukraine isn't a part of NATO. Basically, NATO was created to be the police of the planet. So basically, when a bully stepped up and tried to bully a smaller country, NATO was supposed to step in and be like, nope. No, don't do that. Don't do it. Okay? Here Russia is bullying the Ukraine. But NATO's going, no, we can't help you because you're not a member. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. I don't get it. That's what I mean by there's just so much in this country. To be honest, this world, I just don't get it. I don't understand what happened. Yes, we stepped in World War II against Germany and stuff. Yes, Japan, Pearl Harbor, Japan attacking us, is really what set the gears in motion for us to join. But before that happened, the United States was sending soldiers over to Europe. Because we didn't think what Germany was doing was right. Mostly it was more of a volunteer basis, do you want to go over and help? Type thing. They didn't draft people to go at that time. But I can promise you right now, and now this is where I'm going to sound like I'm a conspiracy theorist or something, but I can promise you right now, 3 things is coming. 3 things. I'll go ahead and tell you this. A recession is not coming. A depression is coming. And the way that everything is looking, gas prices, diesel prices, food prices, even my truck insurance went up. The cost of living tells me that we're going to go into a depression. And it's going to be, I really have a feeling it's going to be worse than the ones that our grandparents endured. My grandparents. Some people watching this, their grandparents were born or alive during Vietnam and stuff. So they're not nearly as old. 2. A civil war is coming. I've been saying this for the last 5 years. I honestly thought it would happen within 5 years, which would be either this year or next year. But another civil war is coming. It's not the North versus the South. It's going to be the patriot versus non-patriot. Basically, the left versus the right. Okay? Yes, I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. You can feel the tensions rising. You really can. Okay? 3. World War III is coming. But this Russian-Ukraine thing is not it. That's not the start of World War III. To be honest, if I had a guess, so you remember how I said we don't have the money to be sending abroad to help anything, or definitely not pay for Finman studies? I feel like China is what's gonna start World War III. I don't know how much we owe China, but America was at one point billions of dollars in debt to China. And that was back when I was in high school, and that's been about 10 years. So if I had to guess now, we're trillions. We're trillions in debt. But if I had to guess, I would say China's going to come knocking on our door wanting its money, or it's going to be North Korea. Those are my 2 guesses as to how World War III starts. And why do I say this, or why do I feel this? Well, to be honest, as somebody who has literally sat, I literally live under a rock, basically. I live in the middle of nowhere, okay? Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is 4 hours away from me. Lexington, Kentucky, that's another big city. It's about 3 hours away. Columbus, Ohio is about 3 hours away. Those are all the biggest cities near me. And that's how far away they are. I literally live in nowhere, okay? But I've always just chosen to be under a rock. I've also kind of always chosen to be, not always antisocial, because there's definitely days that I absolutely crave human interaction of some sort, like going for a drive, hanging out with somebody, around a bonfire, just something little, okay? But as somebody who is basically sheltered themselves willingly, I still have interactions with the news and the outside world. But just little things that I have seen and picked up on from the news, or reading articles that I have read, just has led me to determine that World War III is coming. World War III is coming. Okay. Now, I'm probably wrong on how it starts. It may not be China, it may not be North Korea. But those are my 2 highest suspects of how it does. Hell, I don't know, maybe Iraq and Iran are still, yeah, they're still pissed at us, but maybe that's how it starts. I don't know. Yes, if you do watch this, just go, wow, she's crazy. There's something wrong there. That's fine. It's okay. But, I guess you could call this a rant, or ramble, whatever you want to call it, but I think I'm done, because it's almost 3:30, and I've had to pee since before I started this. Good news is my house is like 100 yards that way, but I still have to go park in the driveway and walk to the house and stuff. So, but listen, I will finish it this way. I'm not saying you're a bad person for voting for Biden. Like, I know some good people who voted for Biden. I just think our government has just brainwashed so many people. No, I'm not Republican. Just throwing that out there, because I know a lot of stuff that I've said has sounded very Republican. Okay. I am independent because there are some stuff I can agree on with Democrats, and there's some stuff I can agree on with Republicans. There's some stuff I disagree with on Democrats, and there's some stuff I disagree with Republicans do, okay? I'm very much independent. Like I said, I voted for Jo Jorgensen. Jo Jorgensen! Anyway, I'm not saying you're bad for voting for Biden. I just think, not brainwashed, I just think that you was misled. I think that I really feel like it was fear. A lot of people were fear-mongered and stuff like that. Like, like I said, I know some good people who voted for Biden and stuff. I have nothing against you personally. I just don't think you made the smartest decision, to be honest. And no, like, you probably didn't have the hindsight to know that all of this was coming. That gas prices were going to skyrocket, stuff like that. But I mean, to be honest, if you, like, here's Democrats, here's Republicans, okay? If you would have just looked outside of your own little bubble, or liberal, okay? Like, here's Democrats, liberals, Republicans, whatever. If you would have just looked outside your own little bubble, there has been indications, like, I guess you could say if you woke up. I don't really like to say that because, you know, people think that there's woke culture and whatnot is, some of them really aren't woke about shit. Okay. Anyway, if you would have just looked outside your own little bubble or whatever, like, you would have seen. You would have seen, for one, Biden was in politics for 40 years or something like that, and he never accomplished anything in his terms. Two, he was always with Biden or Obama and stuff like that when Obama was in presidency. And like I said earlier, when Obama was in presidency, we hit $6 gas in California and $4 gas here in West Virginia. Like, there was a foreshadowing of this happening. No, I'm not saying, like, Trump was the best ever, like, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you right now, I'd much prefer them mean tweets and that arrogant personality over this fucking gas and having to cancel doctor's appointments that I absolutely need to go to. Like I said, I personally don't have anything against y'all. I think that you guys was misled. I mean, to be honest, I've been misled about shit in my life too. I just think that with COVID and stuff like that going on, it was just easy to manipulate people. I really do. Sorry, I thought it was a side-by-side or something coming through, because like I said, I'm sitting up here in my field and I didn't want them to see a car sitting here with the light on and be like, and then, like, they call the police or something like that. This is my own field, but, like, I used to sit up here all the time, and then I just needed to today, because I needed house. Anyway, like COVID, for example, they said anybody elderly and immune compromised would be the first ones to get it. I have Hashimoto's disease, which is an autoimmune disease. An autoimmune disease means that your body's attacking its own self. Hashimoto's is my body is literally destroying my own thyroid. Okay? For some reason, it thinks my thyroid gland is something that shouldn't be there, and it's literally destroying my own thyroid gland. Okay? According to the CDC, from day one, I should have been the first one affected, especially if I didn't get the vaccines. My ex, back in December, had COVID. Like, he legit tested positive for COVID. I took care of him while he was sick. I stayed the night with him like 3 nights. Kissed him. I never got it. And I am immune compromised. I never got the vaccines. I still haven't gotten the vaccines. I don't plan on getting the vaccines. Because to be honest, I 100% know in my body that if I got the vaccines, I would get sick. I know. Because every time I've gotten the flu shot, I've gotten sick. I 100% know. So yeah, I just think people have just been misled. I'm not saying COVID wasn't real. I'm just saying the severity of it. But I'm going to head back to the house. So if anybody did watch this, like I said, it's okay for you to think I'm crazy. I kind of am. I mean, not like really crazy, but
I'll be racing online.
You guys,
and Dale Jr.'s been a
see you later.
supporter of